This coin's up 112% while the market bleeds out. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis, blah, 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 blah. So we have Bitcoin. It's crashing at the moment. I expect us to hit that 84,000 as talked about in the previous video. If you want more information on that, go watch the other video. Tornado Cash, I constantly recommend it. You can trade it on MEXC. I can't tell you how to enter MEXC if you're in the US. I think it's prohibited by YouTube. But there's something that starts with letters of the alphabet, and you can use that to enter into MEXC. Using the reference link below, you get 20 USDT for free. None of this is financial advice. None of it is free money or pyramid schemes or anything like that. So Tornado Cash is actually up quite a bit throughout the entire market crash, and we see it's a slow, steady consolidation movement upwards, testing the higher highs. However, we did get a lower high, which is a little deterring, and we are getting a lower low, which typically means that you're going to start seeing this in a downward trend. Keeping in mind the RSI down here is pretty perfect. It's right around the 50. It's about to form a W, and if it crosses over this yellow line, we could see that push up like we saw back here when we crossed over the yellow. Looking at the chart, we went from 11 all the way up to nearly 20. So that could be what is going to happen with Tornado Cash. I have this orange line here because there was a lawsuit. Somebody had to pay like 250 million or something like that. Didn't change the chart at all, and it's still very, very healthy. So for those of you who have not entered, $11 is pretty much about as low as we could expect this thing to go. You've had many opportunities in the past, all the way back here in May, to enter in at 11. Currently, everything that we've entered in has been in profit, and we could expect if Bitcoin does start to pull up, we could start seeing this break out of this black downward trend line, which is in this channel, and start that upward momentum. However, if Bitcoin does pull back, we could see this test that $11 mark yet again, but I don't believe we're going past 11. Paying $11 or $13, not a huge difference because the all-time high is $459, and $13 is really not that bad of an entry price, even though I do think we are going to see a little bit cheaper tomorrow with Bitcoin dropping down. With that being said, you can use the reference link for MEXC and get 20 USDT for free. Moving on, QNT did exactly what we had expected. As talked about in the previous video, I'm unsure if I had to block that one due to the YouTube regulations, which is being a pain. As soon as you get monetized, they start trying to shut you down. But we see that we had that push up towards the 50. And I say the 50 because if you draw a trend line, just eyeballing it right down the middle, there's the 50. And we see that we pushed up over the 50, had that consolidation, and I talked about potentially testing the 200 EMA and the downward trend line, which we did exactly before getting that rejection back down towards the 50, and we are a little bit under it. We are getting a little support at the 78. Volume is nothing substantial, so not a whole bunch to go off of that. RSI is pretty healthy, but with Bitcoin's pullback, I think we could see it test this previous low around $72 before pulling back up towards this downward trend line. Keeping in mind this black downward trend line, we placed this from here and here, giving us that channel, and then we had it touch here, validating that channel, and then what do you know, it came right back to that trend line and got rejected. So trend lines are very important. If you don't know anything about them, just one line can do a lot for you to give you a better idea of what is going to happen. What I expect to happen for QNT is a potential drop testing this area before pulling right back up, testing this downward trend line, and then keeping in mind the 200 EMA will be right in this area more or less, and then we will be working within this wedge. And when we can get over that trend or the 200 EMA, we could expect the resistance being right here, which matches up perfectly with the Fibonacci at the 618 being $109 for QNT. For those of you who are trapped, it's been a long waiting game, market manipulation, all that fun stuff, but it's just a matter of time before QNT and the rest of the market takes off. For those of you who are panic selling, I'm sorry, but it's the way the crypto works. None of this is fast, quick money. It's a long, slow, drawn out process, especially if you get trapped within the area. For those of you who do have money, you can always donate. I am now monetized. And for those of you who have donated, Jenny, Woozall, Joe, all you guys are legit. 50% of your donations go to save animals' lives. Keeping that in mind. QNT still has the potential to take off. It is at a very low price, very good utility behind it, and a long way to go to hit the all-time high. Sneaking in Dash and Zebec Network. My iPad is slowing down due to the new update, which has been also a pain. But we see that we had that quick push up, giving people the opportunity to exit if they were trapped within this area, and we are still working downwards. The CM Guppy is pretty strong. The 200 EMA is very strong. RSI, we are trying to build a W and cross over this yellow mark, and if that does happen, we could see it easily break this downward trend line and have a continuation to the upside. Currently $77. This was our fair value gap, which we want to see hold as support. And if we can hold around this $77 to $70 area, we can expect it to cross this downward trend line and push back up to 128 and beyond. Dash has a very long way to go to hit its all-time high. As we've seen in the past, the 618 is all the way up at $300. The full one retracement from the previous high is nearly $500, and I believe it was $1,600 for its all-time high. So, you do the math, that's well over 10, 15x from where we are currently at. Volume, not much to say about it, but we are in consolidation with this. And whatever Bitcoin starts to do, we will see the rest of the market follow suit. So we are just waiting for Bitcoin to build a base and start building upwards. ZBCN has broken out of this wedge pattern or the bullish pendant. And typically when you see this, you could see a quick liquidity sweep testing this previous high. So if we draw a line from the previous high right here, that is at the retracement on the Fibonacci at 0.786. So we could see it push down here, get some support, pull right back up towards this wedge. And if we can enter into this wedge, we really only have to get over that 200 EMA before start calling it support. And then we'd be getting some resistance off this downward trend line. If that trend line can be broken and we hold above that 200 EMA, the next real resistance is 0.005, 0.006, 0.007. And if we can get beyond that 0.007, we can expect to push up to around a penny for ZBCN. ALCX was one that I covered recently. Bringing it back in for this video. The people who don't watch this video, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of good information that can be explained with other markets, not just XCN, and the people who are holding, waiting for XCN to pull back up. ALCX did get its rejection, and my iPad is lagging out. So all the information I had put, there we go. 200 EMA is the main thing you need to look at. This black upward trend line is practically nothing. It's not even a trend line. It's just trying to make sense of if we can get some support off of it, we could expect a further upside. The RSI looks very healthy, but ideally, if we can hold above this 200 EMA and the CM Guppy, we can expect a continuation upward. However, if that does not hold, the next real support is at $7 or $6.78, where you could have another entry for that next push up. Right now, I'm going to remove this because it's irrelevant, and we are getting resistance. So I think we could see a pullback with Bitcoin's pullback with a quick pull right back up over that 200 EMA, and then start using that 200 EMA as support, pushing it up towards the $22 mark. So those of you who are in ALCX, there is a long way to go to hit the top. The 618 from the previous high, which is right here at 29.79. You could consider this the low, and the 618 is nearly exactly where this popped off to around $20 with this wick off. Major rejection, support off that 200 EMA, pushed up to the 0.5 on the Fibonacci rejection. But we've seen in the past when we get that rejection and then test the 200 EMA, the 200 EMA can hold as support and can immediately push this right back up towards that $20 mark, the $22, $24, and potentially $29. So there's a long way to go for ALCX, very similar to a lot of other patterns we've seen. But yeah, it's looking pretty healthy if we can hold over that 200 EMA. I've had a little bit too much coffee and I'm losing my breath doing these videos, so I think I'm going to cut this one short. And I'll sneak in CTSI because it's doing its double tap. For those of you who are in CTSI, it's doing its double tap. We are waiting for it to test the low one more time with Bitcoin's pullback. And it is just in a downward consolidation. The iPad lagging out makes this very annoying, but 0.041 is what we are currently at. We could see that 0.029 test one more time, but keeping in mind we are pretty far away from the 200 EMA, and we could see it test a low one more time. Wow, this isn't even putting the thing on the chart. We could see it test a low with Bitcoin's pullback before immediately pulling right back up towards the 200 EMA here. Just lag city. I'm ending this video. Like and subscribe if you want. Good luck. Have fun with it. Donate if you want. And I will see you guys on the next one.